Hey, what up, you guys? This is Danny B. You're watching the Trash Stash. I'm just grabbing some lunch, and then I thought I'd pull over and do the Horror of Seinfeld. Seinfeld has always been one of my favorite shows, so I'm gonna look at the cast of characters and stuff like that, and basically I'm gonna go down by their character names and list off the horror movies they've been in. Alright, first up we got Jerry Seinfeld, the star of the show, and he doesn't do very many movies. He's hardly ever in any movies, and then let alone horror movies, but it said he did do an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000 as a character named Freak Masterstroke. And I've never seen it. It sounds kind of funny though. Yeah, that's as close to horror as he gets. And then also there was an episode of Seinfeld where he's running away from a killer named the Lopper. And it's a guy that like lops someone's head off or something. And they got like a kind of a scary scene in the show. That's kind of funny. Alright, next up we got George, my favorite character, probably the funniest guy in the show for me. He was in The Burning, classic. I've actually never seen it, but everyone tells me that's a classic, so I gotta check it out. He's also in Jacob's Ladder and Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horrors, which I have seen, and I don't remember it too good except for the first segment with Ernie Hudson. Yeah. Alright, then what about Mr. Kramer, the guy that lives across the hall from Jerry? Is always busting in through the doors in different wacky ways. He was in Transylvania 65000 with Jeff Goldblum and Ed Begley Jr. I loved this movie when I was growing up. I haven't seen it in years, but I fucking always died laughing watching him in this movie. This was... it's not a Ghostbusters ripoff, but it's kind of like in the style of like a horror comedy like Ghostbusters a little bit, about these two newspaper journalists who go to Transylvania to do a story. I think that's what it's about. And it's also got Gina Davis from Beetlejuice. She's in there. Alright, then what about the lovely Elaine? Always love Elaine in the show. She's hilarious. She was in Troll. Not Troll 2, but the original Troll. She's in that. Running around, skipping around, naked, I think. Yeah, I haven't seen the whole Troll movie, but I remember, I think I looked up her scene in it, and then it was like, oh, she's naked. Alright, then what about, Newman, Jerry's enemy. the psychotic mailman, I guess, I don't know. But yeah, Newman. It did say he was in like a show, like something with Napoleon Dynamite, some kind of horror show with Napoleon Dynamite. I haven't seen it. I don't even remember the name, but I didn't write it down. But he's more of a thriller guy. And he was in one of my favorite thrillers, To Die For, with Nicole Kidman. And then he's also in Basic Instinct, which is another classic by Paul Verhoeven. Yeah, he's great in those. And then if you want to count Jurassic Park as horror, he's in that too. Alright, and then what about Frank Costanza, George's dad? Jerry Stiller, Ben Stiller's real-life dad. That guy's hilarious in the show. He was in Monsters, the TV show, Tales from the Dark Side, the TV show, and then some movie called Highway to Hell, which came out in 1990, I think. I didn't write down the year, but yeah, Highway to Hell. And then what about George's mom? Mrs. Estella Costanza. Well, she was in the Addams Family Reunion, the third one, with Tim Curry's in it, and she plays Grandma Addams. And then what about that one girl Jerry was dating one time, named Cindy? I think she was the maid, maybe? Or, no, she was the one, she was the hair to the candy bar hair, I don't know. And she inherited candy bars or something. Well, I wrote her down because I actually know a movie that she's in, which is one of my favorite full moon movies, Dark Angel the Ascent. She's the lead role in Dark Angel the Ascent. And I remember watching Seinfeld one time and be like, hey, that's Dark Angel there. She's also in Army of Darkness. She was, you know, the S-Smart girl at the end scene there. And then also something called Soul Survivors and something called Caved In, which I have not seen either of those. Alright, and then what about Mr. Peterman? You know, the guy that runs the fashion catalog that Elaine works for. What about that guy? Well, he was in what looked like kind of a sleazy one called Mirror Images from, it either says 1991 or 1992, about two girls, one's an evil twin and one's a good twin. It looks really sleazy. I want to check it out. It looks cool. Yeah, he's only in that though. And then what about Jerry's dad? Well, he was in a TV movie called I Married a Monster, which I have on VHS, but I have not watched it. It looks cool though. It looks like a sci-fi horror movie. And then what about David Puddy? You know, talk to the 8-ball. You got a question? Talk to the 8-ball. I love that guy. Well, he was in something called The Ruining. He was in Bad Milo. He was in Scream Part 3. And then he was in one I just watched called Better Watch Out, which Joe the Horror Man on YouTube recommended that. What about one of the most memorable characters on the show, Mr. Pitt? The guy Elaine used to work for. Before Mr. Peterman, she worked for Mr. Pitt. And he was the guy, he was kind of a wacky dude. I remember him, he was like obsessed with the 3D images where you cross your eyes and you see something in 3D. He was in kind of a lot of movies. He was in Poltergeist, Warlock, Army of Darkness, which I remember him in as the scientist in Army of Darkness who's like teaching Ash how to use the hand or whatever it is. Most memorably, he almost holds a bag of gunpowder up to a flame and Ash stops him. Then he was also in Jack Frost Part 2, which, you know, I've only seen the first Jack Frost. I still need to see Part 2. Something called Repossessed, Blood Beach. He was in Puppet Master 3, Catacombs, Wicked from 1973, and Tales from the Crypt, the TV show. So, I was thinking he was gonna be the most horror character in the show. But what about Jerry's dirty Uncle Leo? The guy who's always complaining that Jerry did not say hello to him. Well, he was in a lot. He was in Someone's Watching Me, which is a John Carpenter movie that he made for TV, and it's kind of underrated. Yeah, he was in that. He was in Grandma's House from 1988. He was in Ruby from 1977. You know, I had a crush on a girl named Ruby, and I remember telling her about this. Then he was in something Blood and Lace from 1971. Not Blood and Black Lace from Mario Bava, but a movie called Blood and Lace. Sorority Girls and the Creature from Hell. The Werewolf Reborn from 1998. Ain't No Way Back. The Munsters. The TV show The Munsters. And Alfred Hitchcock Presents, the TV show. And also The Outer Limits, the TV show. So, Uncle Leo has been very busy on the horror scene. Alright, you guys, that's going to do it for the Horror of Seinfeld. Let me know if you know of any other Seinfeld characters that are in horror movies, because there's a ton of Seinfeld characters. I didn't get to all of them. But yeah, let me know. Like, is the Soup Nazi in anything? What about Man Hands? Has she ever been in something like strangling a guy? Let me know. Hey, you guys, this is Danny B. You're watching The Trash Stash. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.